Good morning, good morning. If I can get an audio test, if someone can hear me, I would very much appreciate it. Testing audio. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
As per usual, we'll give it 5-10 minutes before we really get into anything. Long time no see. Hope everyone is doing alright. Hope everyone is doing alright. George Leslie Lewis. Patrick Torrey Essence Obsidian. Is that a real name or is that a kind of an alias name? Because I've never heard that name before. Cool name. Good morning, good morning.
Morning, Leslie. Morning, Tony. Louise, Kate.
It's been a couple.
Patrick, George.
It's been a couple weeks, for sure. Hopefully, honestly, the midweek review that we put out, I think will make getting back together easier, or at least through the weeks, because you'll have to catch up on as much. Something that me and Henry were talking about. I think we're going to start adding a midweek review for you guys. Something that we'll just put out, I think it was maybe 20 minutes. So, I mean, it's not hard for us to do. So, whenever we send out that email on either a Wednesday or Thursday, there'll be a midweek review attached to it. It'll just be me and Henry. We're also thinking that we might just stick to Sundays at 10. I know that not a lot of you guys, or some of you guys, just can't make it no matter what. Some people have church. Sometimes it's a different time zone. Sometimes you just are out of town or whatever the case is, right? Not everyone's going to be able to make it all the time, but this time works for me, works for Henry pretty well, and I think we're going to just try to stay consistent with it. We found out that we kind of have better turnouts of individuals around this time too. 2 hours seems like it's a decent time. We were juggling whether or not we wanted to add more time or whatever the case is, but we think I think 2 hours is just plenty enough to cover everything that we need to cover, especially now that we'll have a midweek review. We won't have to catch up on as much stuff. But 10 a.m. our time goes into noon our time. Usually by that time, we're all hungry. We want lunch, whatever the case is. So that's kind of what we're going to aim for. Obviously, if for whatever reason we have to change the time a little bit, we will. But we're going to try to just stay with Sundays at 10. And if that doesn't work for you, let us know, and we'll see how we can potentially cater to you guys. Hello, Astro. Glad to see you here. Sounds like you're first. Sorry, I had a little text. But we will give it a minute or two more and we will get into it. If you guys need, go to the bathroom, get some water, drink, or snacks. And we'll see what we can do today. Henry, what time are you wanting to go over that? Should we go over that before we go over anything else, or do we want
to? We can do our review first.
Okay. You said you want to cover that first, or you want to do the review first?
Let's do the explain the switch.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's not much different from what we put in the review.
Okay, so we'll review. We'll do a quick little review, and then we'll get your guys' opinion on something new that we think we might start to try. All right, we can go ahead and get into it. So this week news, we've got a BOMC member hardcore speaking at 8:15. Probably will be mild volatility, nothing too crazy. Nothing on Tuesday. We've got a blank slate on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have a 10-year bond option at 1, so potentially some minor volatility in the PM session on Wednesday. Thursday, you've got month-on-month, year-on-year CPIs and core CPIs month-on-month, as well as unemployment claims, all coming out at 8:30. That's probably going to be your fireworks show for the week. You also have that same FOMC member speaking that was speaking on Monday, speaking on Thursday at around 4:15. That's pretty late in the session, so um, just study that. It's coming very late in the session, so depending on how all of this transcribes, I would just be watching that late PM session potentially. And then Friday, you've got obviously following CPI, you've got core PPI month on month, no yearly PPI, so I don't think that this will be too crazy. You also have a preliminary consumer sentiment, as well as inflation expectations, both coming out at 10 on Friday. So obviously more packed back half of the week. We're coming off of NFP, second week of the month. Just be patient with this market in August. August is very tricky and weird. It's never been a good month for me. So I tend to be very patient. I tend to make sure that whatever I'm looking at, I really am looking at it and saying, yeah, I'm comfortable with what I want. Try not to take a lot of trades. I try not to trade at all for the most part in August if I can. I try to fight that as far back into August. As you get into the last week of August, there's, to me at least, this clear sign of the first 3 weeks of August being very hard, and I would very much suggest that if you are trading, you're not trading more than 5 handles, because this is a market recently or historically, market conditions in August. It might give you something, and it might give you what you see, but it won't necessarily give it to you for a long period of time, and it's very quick to come back. So just this is a market condition where you want to be in, you want to be out, you want to get, be okay with a little threshold that it might give you. But we do have CPIs, so I would study that. Obviously, I would not recommend trading that. That's something that you definitely want to trade after the fact. It's obviously instant repricing, so keep that in mind. Anything that I might have missed, anything that you guys need to ask me with regards to news? If not, I will go straight into the DXY. All good there? Y'all are pretty good with news. Just make sure you guys are marking these news events in the times that they're occurring now, so when you have something to refer to in the week, it doesn't necessarily slip your mind to know, that you might be going in looking for a trade on Thursday, and it's a couple minutes prior CPI, right? You want to make sure that you know when these things are occurring. You want to make sure you know where they might occur, but be safe, throughout this week, because CPI can be pretty ruthless. Post CPI, I think you'll get the best trading, so I would say be patient, sit on your hands as much as you can, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then obviously early on Thursday, and then after that following, see what potentially late Thursday and Friday unfold. I will go into the DXY now. Okay, so dollar, I have not changed anything since the midweek review. This is basically everything that I put out on the midweek review. I was watching the SIBI, I was watching this breaker block, right? We have a high, a low, we come up and take a high, and we finally take out the low with displacement. This last down close candle, I'm highlighting all of it, and then we also have a SIBI here on the daily. Just was watching it. I was, showing you guys potentially we were looking that it might go up a little higher, but we were kind of looking for a turnaround here, and it gave it to us on Friday, right? We put out our midweek review on Thursday. We were looking to see if we could potentially see price go back down below this breaker block. Now that it did, I'm curious to see if this swing point high, this swing point high holds going into this week. We filled most of the city. Obviously, there's a little left, but you know, I like the way that price was sensitive and respected and pushed away from this nested area, right? What do I mean by nested? This area both where the breaker block, which is this down closure candle, and the SIBI overlap, right? It's that darker red, right? You can see the sensitivity of it. So now what I would be watching is I would be watching the mean threshold of this up close candle right here, seeing if it starts to act as an order block, right? And what would I mean by the mean threshold? Well, I would be talking about the 50%. So I'm looking at that 50%. It lines up basically exactly with this candle's low in here. So on lower time frames this week, if we do need to push up into this area, I would be looking to see if we tend to push away from it, right? And we were talking about how there's really nothing here that potentially could stop us besides this down closure right here. This could be viewed as an order block, and it's also in and around the equilibrium from this low to this high. So if for whatever reason we do push back down into there, if we're going to have any form of speed bump, I think you can consolidate in here and then maybe go lower. You might not even want to get back up into that breaker. You could just consolidate in here for a little bit before going lower. So just keep that in mind. I think that's the only thing that will keep us somewhat above equilibrium. But once I think we get below equilibrium, right, you take the low to the high, you grab that equilibrium, and then also I would grab this equilibrium, right? And then it would be around this area in which I would be watching to see if we can start to get some closure, right? If we can start to get some closure with regards to the daily candles, if we can get some closure in there and around these two equilibrium levels, I would like to see that obviously be used. If it comes in here, comes back up, and is sensitive to this area, it goes lower, I would like to see that used as resistance, and then I would want us to potentially attack these relative equal lows. Right, that's kind of where my eyesight is on dollar. Nothing's changed from the midweek review with regards to dollar on me. You know, we just kind of pulled back up into this a little below this breaker block because of the late half of the week having most of the news. You know, it might want to test this area twice, right? It might throw some sort of wick in here. You might get a little bit of a higher wick in here. You can start to just manipulate a little up in this range. I would view this range on lower time frames and see what potentially be there. If I go in, I won't go too low, but if I go in on like a 4 hour, you can see that we do have this in here. It could rebalance really as high as this if it really wanted to, right? So something with regards to maybe potentially pulling up into this area, something I would be looking for. With regards to Monday, Tuesday, and possibly early, well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and potentially early Thursday CPI. I like how we did have a little breaker in liquidity right here, right? We kind of turtle soup that high and came lower. And I would also view this BISI, right? I would also use the inversion of this BISI. I like how that aligns too. So there are a lot of things that are kind of showing me with regards to this candle. So it wasn't until Friday on at 7 a.m. that hourly or that 4 hour candle kind of now provides the format for this, right? Price dipped into this inefficiency, and you can see that it had no means to go any higher at all, really, right? The only really push we got from this BISI was these two little tiny F-close candles, and you can see it was very quick once going back up into this nested area between this breaker and SIBI. It's very quick to displace below that and outside the breaker entirely. So keep that in mind. As you can see, we've got a big inefficiency here, and you've got buy side liquidity sitting right here. So really not going to try to sit here and call these lows down here, even though as you can see they are relative equal lows. That would be potentially something that I would be looking for in the near to long term. But these two BISIs right here are really what I'm aiming for right now, right? I'm aiming for the buy side liquidity that's sitting inside those BISIs. Those are the two main areas in which I think price could potentially go to. Something that would potentially invalidate it, if we do start to get closure above this high, or above this high, obviously, same thing we talked about in the midweek review. If we do want to get above this high, and in reality, that still wouldn't be too bullish for me because we could just be trying to fill the entire city. Depends on how manipulative this week wants to be. It is August, so it wouldn't surprise me if it did want to try to maybe push higher into the high. It's not something I'm looking for, but I'll keep it in my cards. Really, it would be a case of seeing how we, once we fill this entire city, right, once we get up into this area up here, if we do still respect it, great. I think the narrative still plays. But then if we start to get some closure, above, right? If we push all the way up here and we start to get some closure above here, and we start to consolidate and we respect really the top half of this after closing above it, and we create some buy side liquidity, we could come up and make something happen there, right? And we could attack these, because although there is a breaker, these still are relatively equal. And I know that if you go on some higher time frames, I think that was on the weekly, if I'm correct, there is, Henry was talking about, right, there's this SIBI right here that we could potentially go tap into one more time. Right here, right, there's this SIBI right here. It could potentially get played one more time. To me, it's a little bit of a stretch, but it is August, and it still wouldn't necessarily mean taking these relative equal highs. But if we did push up into this area for whatever reason, and we made a high in here, that would start to bring some form of case of these being relatively equal, right? You're going to start to have some flat highs in here. So then I would potentially need to really closely watch price action in and around this area to see if we do break below and go lower, or use it as support and go higher. But right now I'm seeing lower prices. That's my opinion on it. Does anyone have any questions? I will check the chat really quick. You're right, that is sell side liquidity, I'm sorry. Hopefully you guys caught that. Yeah, these are supposed to be sell side liquidity, my bad. As you can see, taking 2 weeks off trading, I am a little rusty. But yeah, these are supposed to be sell side liquidity. My bad, I apologize. Ismail, yes, you can talk. I see your hand.
Does the monthly closure looks bullish to you after we tapped into the monthly BISI one more time and closed above it?
Let me check it out. So that's a good question. The only reason why I'm not so bullish on it yet is I see how we did, yeah. So what he's talking about is obviously taking the sell side liquidity here. And I'd be curious to see how we play with the consequent encroachment of this wick. So that's going to be kind of key for me. I think we'll test it, and I think how we basically get to it will be kind of the make or break for me. So like if we go in here, that equilibrium of that monthly candle, that wick, is sitting below the sell side liquidity low, and it's sitting right above this sell side liquidity low, sitting right at kind of the top half of this BISI. To me, I'm still bearish on it, just because I'm still actually bullish on ES. But I think it'll give it a shot down here, and then when we do get down here in this area, it's up to me to sit there and try to decide with regards to closure if it's something that actually is bullish. But if I go in on a monthly and I look, there has been no break of structure, and really all we did is we tapped down into the sell side liquidity, we broke that, we fully filled, didn't fully quite fill it, right? So this is the lower half of the BISI. We didn't quite tap into it, so there's a little bit left, but it could potentially set up, right? And so I think in the first half of the month, viewing it on a monthly candle, The first half of the month, we've already pushed higher, and we've already rejected to go back lower. And I'm curious to see now if in this next week or two, when we do push lower, I'd be monitoring the 50% of this wick right here. If we are sensitive to it and we start to go higher, I could start to really make a case for it. But there's really nothing so far that has been showing me or proving to me that yes, we took sell side liquidity, but there hasn't been anything that's been broken above here quite yet. So it's something that I'm keeping in the back of my mind, but I'm not necessarily set on it being bullish quite yet. Now, if July's candle would have dipped into the sell side liquidity and then came up and made an up close candle, right? If this candle was yellow and still not black, and it was actually an up close candle, and we actually closed above where the month opened, that might be a little bit of a different story. But because we still closed it down closure, I still have the lenience towards bearish momentum. Is DXY going down and ES also going down considered manipulation? It's just a mixed market right now. So different times of the year you'll get mixed markets, and you kind of just have to view them as they are. EXY has been ES has always been going higher for the past couple weeks, and now you're kind of starting to get a little bit of relief. I think if I go back down on the daily, right? I wish. Well, I guess we'll talk about it when Henry kind of gets into ES, but it's not considered manipulation. It's considered a mixed market condition. So it's kind of like there is a correlation, and you don't want them to correlate. So when they are correlating, you have to know that when they're correlating like this, one has already done what it's supposed to do, and the other is trying to catch up to the other. And then once they get to a certain point, they start to kind of crack in correlation, which is what you want. That's when you start getting trending markets. So all this is telling me right now is that there's not a trend right now. We're currently off of our bullish trend, but it's not that we're not bullish. We're just currently, to me, we're currently retracing. It's not viewed as a reversal yet. So the way I view it is the dollar has been going higher, right, into this premium array, into these two premium arrays. ES has been going higher, but has now retraced, right? And so now, to me, the way I view it is the dollar had to push higher to get into the premium level. Now it's pushing away from it, right? ES has been going higher, but has been actually in near term going lower to push down into a weekly BISI that Henry will talk about. So now it's like, the best way I can describe it is ES has been going higher, right? And then it kind of got overextended, right? And then we had a BISI. We had a BISI on the weekly on ES that was in here. And we were kind of pretty overextended past that BISI. The dollar had a SIBI that it was reaching for and a breaker that it was reaching for, and it had just taken sell side liquidity. So we were just kind of going straight up. Now, what price did is when price hits this premium array on dollar, it starts to retrace lower. And because we're so overextended on ES, it needs to fill whatever it needs to fill. So now what is it doing? It's going back into here. But now what you'll start to see, potentially, is price, now that it's filled that level, you're going to see ES start to go higher, right? And then you'll have this, same thing here, you'll have this, right? And then what's going to happen is you'll start to see that crack, right? ES potentially could start to go higher, and dollars should start to go lower. But what we just saw in the past couple weeks is this right here, right? This area in price was happening at the same time this was, right? And that's where you start to get mixed market tendencies. That means nothing's trending right now, right? ES is in a current retracement, potentially, and dollar is in a potential reversal. So they're both, because they're a cracked correlation asset class, which means they go opposite of each other when they're trending, they're not always going to do that. So when one is in a retracement and one is in a reversal, they tend to actually go in the same direction. And that's where you get mixed market tendencies. So I wouldn't necessarily call it manipulation. I would just say it's a mixed market tendency, and they're just trying to, they're at points in the market where one market, being ES, is overextended. It needs a retracement, which means it needs to go lower because we've been bullish, right? When we're retracing in a bullish market, we go lower. And dollar has been retracing higher and is now reversing lower. And that's where you're getting that same thing. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, that's about it for ES for me. Yes, this is sell-side liquidity. If you were looking at that and understanding what did he put buy-side liquidity, it's just because I wasn't necessarily paying attention. I do apologize. That is sell-side liquidity. Sell-side liquidity is lows. Buy-side liquidity is highs. It could be a singular high. It could be a relative equal highs. It could be multiple highs. Sell-side liquidity is lows. It could be relative equal lows or lots of lows. I do apologize there. Any other questions before I pass it to Henry? All good there? Okay, Henry. All you.
So, same thing we really talked about in the weekly review. If you have a chance to take a look at that reporting, we've had some pretty expansive months over the last 2 months going into the summer on the west. Reach out in the year, which would be a bit of a monthly projection block right here. And now just coming off of that, and what immediately stands out to me is this month where you see separation between these two channels. So we have that inefficiency there with potential ability to reach back down into. While on a weekly and daily basis, it's really in this area to determine if we're going to hold up or if we are going to retrace back into this area. And of course, if this is going to extend higher over the temperature, then we have buy side here. Something to note on the monthly as well is there's been an immediate rebound. So this month, over here, extension past that, and then this one, and right back down to top 5. Okay. So if this is going to go higher quickly, we can expect to see a reaction right here. So we'll see what happens moving into the rest of the week or next week. On the weekly, this is the road we have here. So we traded up to there. Let's have another one here. And just reached up into right about the midpoint of that equilibrium right there. It has already been traded through here to the high and the low. So you can see this pattern on this price range right here, just trading up to the midpoint and then trading away from there. You can see any bodies close above that midpoint, and then we're coming out from there. So that gives potentially the idea that it's time for a little bit of a retracement of this run. So now really what I've just been watching is this area here on the weekly. So we have this order block here, and then this candle traded into this type of first candle, and then ran away from that. So this is going to be considered a propulsion bar. And you want to see sensitivity around the high and the open on the midpoint. And so if we trade down into the midpoint, if this is going to make a move back higher from you and not trade down into sell side and this inefficiency, you don't want to see closure below the midpoint of this propulsion bar. So if you get closure below, you start looking to this candle over here, sell side, and this inefficiency. What you can look for on the way down, if it is going to trade here, is now using this weekly BISI, which we have now traded all the way to the low, so it's been fully redelivered. You want to see now if we trade below this and potentially use the low or the consequent portion of it, as well as the low of this liquidity work as areas that turn by slower and trade down toward the midpoint and sell side. If we just stay inside of it and trade back above the high, then you can start looking at this as a balanced price range and expect price to sit above the high or the midpoint to trade back toward the high side. Also keep an eye on just the midpoint of this liquidity work as well, which we've now traded up here and up here as well. So you can see sort of the same idea that we saw with this one. Here it's going to trade it up here and down and then back to the midpoint. So here you could see something like that, right? Trading up and back here and then back to the midpoint and potentially have a sensitive area. I'll just take a look into a daily chart. So there's a lot of confidence in this area around the midpoint of that propulsion wall. We have a BISI there as well in the daily chart. And then here on this was our weekly BISI right here. So we traded down to the low, which is also the consequent function of this BISI right here. And it's also the high of this series of mountains, which we got propulsion wall. What we do have here on the daily is potentially a 2022 level on the side move if we are going to trade down to this area here. So if we mark out some of the lows right here and here. So here we move this one up, and this is like the price run here to take out downside liquidity at least high. And then here trading back under that low. So there we have your shift in market structure. It's a bit of an early one, so you can use this one as well, this low to identify that shift. But here we have that retracement back up into a premium, this range, and then broken lower, leaving this gap behind here, and then leaving this city as well, which on Friday we will trade up into like that. It's happening that old low in line with the efficiency. So that's a powerful entry model right there. And then trading lower after that to type sell side under this thing and reach to the low of this right here on the weekly chart. Now, at this point, we're going into next week. We just want to watch really what's happening. So, of course, we could have a lot of different scenarios depending on how price opens this evening. But if we do get an open lower, then we could look to the low and the midpoint here as areas to turn price going into here. Or if we have just open right here or gap up, then just pay attention to how prices responding to this area. If we are going to trade higher and not trade down the sell side, it's important to note that when you have back in a discount at this range. So of course, a longer term premium, looking at daily chart for long premium, and could definitely trade down into this area to return to a bit more of a discount at this range. But within the short term, when this low this high, we're in a discount now. So you can expect to at least potentially see some buying opportunities within these inefficiencies. And here, now that we are on a daily chart in what looks like a sell program, if we have the shift in market structure, and we've traded back up into the city, and immediately trade later off it to attack higher prices. If you are trading long, and, using some of these inefficiencies like order block or anything else you see on a lower time frame, you just want to be paying a bit closer attention to those premium areas that you're trading back up into. So potentially look at your targets as internal liquidity instead. Like let's say you take a trade in here, you're potentially looking for above this body as a target instead of looking for all of it. If we all got into this 4 hour, some more confidence around this new threshold.
Henry, I got something really quick. If you could add, could you pull out the? I'm gonna annotate because I need you to grab the. Can you grab the fib extensions? Pull it from this low to this high, and see where the extensions are down here.
Yeah.
Something to just not, keep in the back of your mind too. If we are going to go lower, how low do we go, and where do our extensions line up?
Yeah, and you can look at the. Oh, take that there. But you can see the breaker extension behind. Oh. Okay, we got the low, or the high, low, and then I start. Right here, look at this one as well. See like the projection better. But looking for one standard deviation, which we get. And then you can put it 1.5 and 2. You can potentially trade down into those areas next. Here on Friday, also tap into this lower inefficiency again. So you potentially see a little bit of a reaction here. I'll look at that at this breaker. The mean threshold of that breaker is the same, or very close to the same as the mean threshold of that weekly proportion there. There's some good confidence there. If that area is not responsive and shows and closes through, then we're going to be looking for sell side moves. This is kind of like the last separation between if we're just going to move higher off of here and trade down into, or trade down into this monthly inefficiency and sell side. And then, does anyone have any questions? We're kind of in that point on monthly. If you just look at the monthly, if you kind of see this as, view this as a lower time frame chart, essentially, we've got an inefficiency here that could easily be faded back into. We're coming off the high after tapping the rejection bar. It makes sense to have a little bit of consolidation in this area, and we could potentially see that retracement down into the inefficiency, or just consolidate and use this wick as well. Looking at the this monthly wick, which also closely aligns with the mean threshold of this proportion block. So potentially you could see the wick through here. As long as you see closure above the mean threshold, that's what's important for trading that higher. If you do see that closure below, then the sell side, which is a higher side, and below the sell side, could potentially trade down into this one. Your price can close. There's a small inefficiency here as well that aligns with the price conversion. I mean, we can check. Any questions? Yeah. I'm using analyzing ESU over ES1. Yeah, so Michael talked about in a video, I think, a month or so ago, just about using the latest contract instead of the continuous contract because it has different inefficiencies that are going to be important to the current trade.
All right, should we chit chat with them for a second?
Yeah.
All right, so I know all of you guys are probably wondering what that email was about. What what all I was talking about when I said that we potentially had something new for you guys. Um, while I was on vacation, um, I was thinking about how I can, you know, build this community. First, I want to thank you guys, obviously, for each week giving me and Henry the time to come in here and help you guys and help us also, because just as much as it helps you guys, it helps us. And while I was on vacation, I had a lot of time to think. I didn't look at a single chart. I was just having time for myself, and um, I was just thinking about it. And there's some things that we could potentially add into this community to keep you guys engaged and actually really grow, because as much as you guys might get stuff out of coming in to these calls and just sitting and listening and maybe asking a question or two, there's still more that we could potentially do to help each and every one of you guys, not obviously the ones on the call, but also the ones that listen to the recording that can't make it to the call. um, but in the next coming weeks, we're going to try something out, and we want to know your guys' opinion. Um, to not only hold, this is something that I think would, hold myself and Henry accountable. It would give us more things to talk about in the meeting. It would give us more substance. And so what we were thinking about and what we kind of were flip-flopping with is every single week, we're going to put out kind of like an assignment. Or I don't even want to call it an assignment. It'll be like a task. It'll be a very detailed task, and it won't be hard or anything like that. It'll be very simple, but it'll be one task that we will be going into the week to try to complete, and it will be everyone across the board, right? We're going to try to, have something that when we come and get together on Sundays, we all go over, and we want to get a little bit more participation out of each and every one of you guys. And the best way to do that is to have a simple task that is being tried to complete throughout the week. So it could be very easy. Some weeks it could just be, to try to gain a certain percentage based on whatever model you want to do. Or some weeks it could be a very specific thing, right? It could be a very smaller percentage, but we want you to use a specific point in price, right? One week it might be try to get, 1% only using order blocks, or 1% only using breakers, or 1% only using fair value gaps, or other side of things, using X amount of risk, try to go and get this percentage, right? And we'll never do anything that's not obtainable. And we'll slowly build our way up, and I will participate in it. Henry will participate in it, and we expect most and almost all of you guys to participate in it, right? We'll all open up a demo account, and we'll utilize this demo account, right? It'll give you a reason. You guys can trade your accounts how you guys want to trade them, but find time throughout the week to at least try that one task, right? It's basically going to be, it really won't be anything that you can't necessarily accomplish in a day. It'll kind of be like a one-day task that you could go into the week and you can find a potential area to try to do it. This will allow us to, when we come on Sundays, we want you guys to come up, and share your results, right? Good or bad. It's kind of like the gym, right? And this is something that you really, you don't want to cheat, right? It's very easy to go and reset that demo account. Oh, you tried it, you didn't do it, you reset that demo account. That's kind of like when you go into the gym and you don't do the number of reps that you want to do, right? Or you're supposed to do. And you're not cheating anyone but yourself, right? We want this community to be a place where you feel as if you can come and get better. And you're not going to get better if you do this stuff and you cheat it. And, myself and Henry will lead, and we will always go over our results. We'll go over how we did this, that, and the other. But we want to start to get you guys to come up to the front of the stage and say, hey, this is what I did. This is how I messed up. What could I have done better? And then there might be another person on the other side of the group that says, hey, I was trading that same day. This is what I did. This is what I saw, and it worked for me. And it just gives you guys this transparent view of potentially going and, bettering what you might be doing wrong in the market. Another thing that is good about this type of thing is when you it opens your eyes to more things of price, right? You might be better, you might only see one thing more than the other, and that's great, right? That's your model. But when you can understand almost all points in price, it allows you to understand what's going on. It doesn't mean you have to trade all the time, but let's say you're not really good at order blocks, right? There might be a week where we're saying, you know, try to trade order blocks, right? Try to look into trading order blocks. Or it could be breakers, it could be fair value gaps, it could be inversions, it could be a whole bunch of things. It could be using a higher time frame point of interest and then going down into a lower time frame point of interest and using that. It could be vice versa. It could be using a higher time frame point of interest and trading on a higher time frame, right? There's a slew of things that we could utilize, and it will be a very simple test. We're never going to ask you to do anything more than usual. Some of it might be intentional drawdown, right? We might say put yourself in X amount of drawdown, and all you have to do is make it back, right? So there's so many different things that we'll do, but we want to make sure that we get you guys involved, active, and engaged, and come up and share your results. Don't be shy, don't be scared. You know, that's not the point of it, right? It's not the point of trying to get you guys to get up here and embarrass yourself. That's not the case, right? You're here to get better, right? As much as you guys might enjoy this and enjoy the individuals that are here, it's not about them, it's about you. So, you know, it's not about if Tori is here to come and get better, she should not care or weigh too much weight on George's results, right? She's here to understand why she did what she did and how she can do it to get better. And if you guys can treat that like it's supposed to be treated in a community format, I think all of us, me and Henry included, will get better, right? Me and Henry every week, we'll come to the table and we'll show our results, but we want to be able to call on several of you guys, right? And you know, we want you guys to send your results in. So another thing that we're going to be doing is in this back half of the year, me and Henry are going to be working on creating a website. And in that website, there's a couple things, and things can change and we might add more things, but really the website will just kind of be a format where, you know, you can go and view past videos, right? There'll be a library of all the videos that we've gone through. And, you know, that's where we'll post what the assignment is. But then also, aside from that, you'll go and send that stuff in, right? You'll kind of have to sign up for, you know, and all this stuff is free, but we need to know how many people are going to be joining, right? We need to know a couple days before that Emmanuel, Kate, Axel, Astro, Ismail, we need to know that all of you guys are joining prior, so we know who to look for and who to maybe call on. There'll also be a place where you can submit your assignments, right? So on Friday when market closes, you know, you can go in and you can just submit screenshots. Well, what am I submitting? Just a screenshot, right? You're just submitting a screenshot of your markup, of your results, of your trade history, all that stuff. And that could be many different. It could look at many different ways. But whether you trade on your phone, whether you trade on a computer, whether you trade on an iPad, whatever you trade on, there's a way to document and track it and screenshot it, right? If you have an iPhone or an Android, you can screenshot your screen, right? If you have a Windows, you can go and snippet that screen, whatever you're looking at. And, you know, the more information you guys give us and the more information you can even, and it's not even just about the screenshots. We want you to get up, go back to get up, share your screen, go back to the price action, and kind of walk us through it. And we really want to engage with you guys and see where we can make you guys better. And we can't make you the trader that you guys want to be. That's impossible, right? There's going to come a time where we can only do so much. But we're going to try our hardest to try to get as much as we can out of you and give you guys as much as we can out of us to really put yourself in a position to be the trader that you want to be. Now, it's going to reach a point, like I just said, where there's only so much we can do before it comes up to you, and it comes up to what you do out, and that's not even the things you do inside of trading, because you're going to start to reach a point where you realize there's only so much you can do inside of trading, and you can only get so much out of it. But it's not until you do some things outside of trading to where you really start to break thresholds inside trading. So keep that in the back of your mind. Me and Henry, we're going to be working in the next coming weeks to build the website, to get things going, and then also just start making some assignments. It won't be a verbal assignment. It'll be an actual physical like document, sheet of paper. You can print it out, whatever. It'll be in the email, and it'll be something that you can do. And we'll obviously, to start it, it'll be very easy. It won't necessarily be anything hard or super complicated, but we're going to try to work our way up, because in the next couple months, who knows, right? The tasks that we're having each other do might be exactly what you want to do consistently. And then once you realize, okay, well, I've been doing these tasks, I've been really good on it. Now it's up to you to sit there and go and do it live, right? We want all of this stuff to be done in demo. I don't want any of you guys to be doing these tasks on live, right? My point is to not pressure you in that area. We're trying to develop you and grow you as much as we can in a safe environment that doesn't do any harm to you. And what we'll do is it's super easy. It takes 2 seconds. I know everybody here has a TradingView account. If not, everyone already knows how to open up a demo on TradingView. We'll do a $100,000 demo. Why $100,000? Because you guys can handle that, right? If you can't now, you will eventually. And I'm a big believer in, if you don't start now with the higher numbers and at least getting your feet wet and dipping your toes in the water in that type of realm, it's going to be harder down the road, right? And get yourself accustomed to that, right? Don't change the mindset shift of I can't do that. That's too big of a number. No, it's not true. You just haven't tried it enough. You haven't exposed yourself to it enough. Because over time, it's just like anything else. It starts to feel obtainable, right? So keep that in the back of your guys' mind. We might even actually, starting next week, create at least a task. The website probably won't be up or anything like that, but it's something that we are working on. And then even going into next year, something that I really want to do is potentially just start to have events for you guys, right? Live events, right? We'll have certain areas, not only this website, I would really like to have some form of login feature, and with that login, we can start to get information from you guys, where you guys live, so we can start to break down our demographics on our community, and see where we could potentially host several events throughout next year, and just get together, get to know each other, whether it could be a slew of things, right? Just start to have some live in-person events. It could be little tiny mini seminars going over trading. It could be just an entertainment social event. It could be a whole different types of things. But I do want to build this community. I do want to connect with you guys. But more importantly, I want to get you guys to the point in which I know you guys can get to. I'll probably start to market this stuff a little bit more. I want to grow the community, right? The community has grown tremendously throughout the past couple months, but I know that it can grow more, and I know that there's more people out there that could utilize this stuff. So if there's any friends or anybody that you know that is in trading, that is in a kind of in the mud, or they're stuck and they don't know where to go, we're not asking anything from you guys but effort and participation. And so please go out there, use your word of mouth. If there's something or someone that you think that could actually utilize this stuff, please let them know. I would rather this just be more of a word of mouth thing, but I'll do my due diligence to try to get as many people in here as can, because me and Henry, we've been doing this since the first week of January, and we can kind of handle the crowds. It's nothing that we can't necessarily handle, and especially once we get the website set up, there'll be an explanation of how things work, how the calls work, how the tasks work, all that stuff, the timings of when we meet, when we send out midweek calls, when we send out, all these emails, all this stuff. So, I'm not going to go into anything, chart related unless you guys have any questions, because this was kind of my main concern. And I want to get some of your guys' feedback now. I want to, what is something, after hearing that, I know that, I'm looking in the chat and people are liking it. Is there something else we can add, or is there a way in which we can cater towards you guys to make it a little bit easier, or is there something else, right? Is there something on top of that we could add to, right? And if there's, if there's not, and if you're not willing to get up and explain, it and you're just shy and you can't deal with that type of stuff, I don't want you to feel like you can't do it, because I think everybody in here is, they can learn, whether it's good or bad, right? Even if you do something that's not necessarily the right thing to do, when you get up and you talk about it, you're teaching someone what not to do, and that's good. You're letting them know, hey, this didn't work for me. It bit me in the ass. It didn't work for me, and that lets someone know that they might have not thought, oh, I might have not thought to do that. Now I know not to do it, right? We'll make sure that you don't do it again, or we'll try our hardest to make sure that you know not to do it again. But you also might be saving someone else, right? When I was in class, or whenever I was always learning, whatever it was, I was always trying to be the stupidest person in the room. I didn't care who was in the room. I didn't care who looked at me the way they did. If I did something wrong, I'm going to the teacher and I'm saying, hey, I did this. It didn't work. Please show me how I don't do it again. Show me what I need to do. And you kind of have to block out most of the class, because when you do that, not only are you getting, when you do that, you're going to get the answer that you need, right? That person's going to cater to you. They're going to say, okay, let's work through this and let's see. But there might be someone in the back of the class that's sitting there and they're saying, hey, I didn't really think about that, but that's something that I might have done in the future, and now I know not to do it. I'm going to mark that down. I'm going to make sure that whenever that time might come up where I might do something like that, I'm not going to do it. And so not only are you helping yourself, but you're helping others at the same time. Vice versa, when you're doing something good, right? Bring it to the table. Hey, guys, I did something a little bit different this week. I did this, and this, and it actually equaled to, or transitioned to this, and this in trading, right? It doesn't always have to be the things outside of trading, but it can also be, or it doesn't always have to be the things inside trading, but it could also be things outside of trading, right? It could be something that you added into your daily routine, or something that you took out of your daily routine that started opening your eyes, or doing something that helped you inside of trading. So, if anyone has any, Emmanuel, if you want, you can hop in. I see you raise your hand if there's something that you want to add.
Hey, bro.
What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I really love this idea, and it's really going to help me grow and maybe get to know more about the market and setting PDREs. And I quickly want to ask, I don't trade futures market. I do trade forex market. So what will I be doing with?
Well, so that's a great question. So we'll never cater to we're never going to tell someone what to trade. But what we'll do is we will always have two halves of it for the ones that trade futures and the ones that trade forex. So if we're asking you to get, if it's percentage based, it's percentage based, right? If it's percentage, you know what to what to get in your forex or in your futures, percentage based. But if we're asking you to go get some form of length in price, which is like handle based, I'll always make sure to transition to that into what would be equivalent in pips. So if we're asking you to get 7 handles in a trade, I'll transition that into what is equivalent to that in pips. And so there'll always be a part of the tasks that it caters to the forex. So if it's handles, you'll always have the equivalent in pips, and trade what you want. We're never going to do this in ES, do this in NQ. We're never going to do anything like that. It'll always be you trade what you want to trade. You're either going to be getting, there's really 3 to 4 main things that you're going to be trying to get. It's either a certain percentage, it's either a certain handle or pip amount, or it's a certain setup, right? It doesn't matter whether you get 5 pips, 10 pips, 15 pips, whatever, as long as you use a breaker, or as long as you use an order block, or as long as you use an inversion CIBI or an inversion BISI. It's only going to be really those main 3 things. But I will make sure that when we do create the tasks, we always cater to it for it to transition and reflect into forex as well. Essence said, I was saying to someone that I get no feedback from my trading teachers because they're all virtual, so this is great. I'll be nervous to share, but I would push myself to do it anyway. Yeah, I mean, this is, no one should sit here and take weight to your results and what you bring to the table unless it's positive. If anybody gets any negative feedback from anyone, I will make sure to handle it as quick and as respectful as possible. But I do not believe that, you know, the individuals in here and even the individuals that come, you know, I don't think this is a space where you will get any negative feedback. I think everyone in this room knows how fucking hard it is, right? That's just the bottom line. Everyone knows, and if you don't, you will find out. Everyone knows how fucking hard this shit is. So if you're going to sit here and you're going to give some negative annotation to someone that is clearly trying to get better, right? It's the same thing as if I'm at the gym and I see someone who's completely out of shape and they're working their ass off trying to get into shape. Who am I to sit there and to go give them negative annotations towards the work that they're putting in to try to better themselves, right? I'm not going to do that, nor should anyone do that, right? No one wants to be that person. No one wants to be the person that sees someone working hard towards being a better individual in whatever industry or aspect that is in their life. Who are you to sit there and say or give them any negative annotations, right? Everyone here knows exactly where they're trying to be. We all have the same idea. We all have the same goal, and we are here to push each other. We are here to be there for each other, and I think through that, you will get a lot of good feedback. I very much encourage all of you guys to get active, get engaged, because, you know, when we get to a point where you guys are sending it in, it might not be early, and it might be something that we have you guys bring to the table, but when we start to see, you know, okay, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person all sent in their results for that week, right? We might just we might randomly call on you, right? It might be something like that, and you just got to be ready. You know, depending on what the time looks like throughout the calls, I know we're trying to do it within 2 hours. You know, we might not get to everybody. So if it is something where, you know, you guys have something that you want to bring to the table, jump in, right? Raise your hand. And if it's something that you just want to send in your results, and if you get called, you get called, great, you'll explain it. But if you don't, you don't, and that's fine. But I think another thing that this helps is, you know, when you're in that market in the week and you're going and you're making decisions, when you're making decisions and you know that you have to bring your decisions to the table on that weekend in this call, and let's say you're down three, let's say you lost 3 back-to-back trades. You did everything you're supposed to do, followed every rule, you lost, you bumped down your risk percentage a little bit, you lost again, you bumped down your risk percentage even more, and then you lost again, and then you stopped, right? That's good. That's good content that someone else can learn from. And when you're in that position, you can sit there and you can be like, you know what? You have a decision to make. Okay, I did everything I needed to do, and all I did was lose. You can start to think in your head subconsciously, okay, what are Carson and Henry and the rest of the class going to say if I bring this to the table now? And what are they going to say, and how are they going to view me if I keep trading, right? It's going to hold you back from making bad decisions, because you're going to be like, listen, I know that I'm going to lose in the market, and I know that I can bring losses back to the classroom, right, and get good feedback. I can figure out what I might have done wrong and how I can fix it, but I can also show the class that I lost responsibly, right? I lost in a professional manner, and that's good, and I know that people will get value out of that. And or you can get to that threshold and you have a decision to make. Do I want to make another trade? Do I want to try to chase something knowing that it will show in my results, and if I bring that to the table, that's going to make me look bad? Well, maybe, and we'll get through it and you'll figure out how to do it. And maybe that's, some of you guys need that, right? Maybe that happens once or twice, and then you really start to realize, damn, I do not like coming back to that class showing my results and showing that I just chased the market all week. I don't like that. I'm going to stop doing that. When I get up in front of that class and I had to show my results, and I had reached my risk threshold for the day and I kept trading, I didn't like the way that I didn't like that, because I knew that I wasn't supposed to do that, and now I have to bring it in front of a class and share, right? That's gonna cause you, all those bad habits are gonna wither away quick when you know that you're gonna have to get in front of people and talk about it, right? I always try to, when I'm trading, I always try to think about there's a huge room of people watching, people that I care about. Because odds are when you're in front of other people, and especially people that you care about, you're not going to be doing dumb things, right? You're not going to be doing dumb things. You're going to try to be doing the most rational, responsible things you can because it makes you look good. It's the right thing to do. You want to do the right thing in front of it. You know, if there's a lot of people watching you and there's a lot of eyes on you, you're a lot more susceptible to doing the right decision rather than doing the wrong decision. So that's going to, what this does, even though it's going to hurt, it might hurt a little bit, bringing those losses into the classroom. Guess what? It's going to break those habits quick. And guess what? Maybe you are the trader that comes in the first week and they said, hey, I failed it. I not only did I fail it, I failed it miserably. But then you could also be you could also next week be the same student that said, you know what? I took what we learned from the call and what I did wrong, and I took that and I used that into my next week, and look, I had a great week. Right? There's so many different things that you guys could take from stuff like this. So that's something that me and Henry are gonna work on and try to see what we can come up with. And please, for the ones that are that watch the recordings that are in this that might not be able to make these calls, please let us know how we can cater to you, and please give us feedback in an email. You know, because we want to hear from you guys, right? Because there's 17 people on this call, but there's also there's a little over 200 people on the email thread. And me and Henry were talking about it too. We had almost a whole classroom of individuals and the first start of it, and you know, they haven't joined in a while, and that could be because they've got what they needed, right? They've got what they've needed, and they've got what they needed, and they're just good on their own, right? But we want to try to bring them back, right? We want to try to bring them back, or as many people as we can, and say, hey, help us get in this. It's very easy. It's a very easy task. It's once a week, and you can get a lot out of it too. It might be a reason for you to not trade as much on a live account or whatever the case is. Let me read some of the chats really quick. Yeah, I think the assignments will help you trade less too, right? You know, you might, you know, break it down to where you have maybe this is the only, you're at a point where you're not trading live, you don't really know where to trade demo, and you know, this could be a good starting place for you. Or if you are funded or you do trade live, it might be an area where you can trade less on that, do what you need to do that day, but then just, it might be a good scapegoat. It might be a good escape to get away from that and trade a day where you're just trading demo and you're just a student and you're not trying to get anything out of the market but knowledge. Axel, this week we trade order blocks. Me sweats profusely. You might sweat profusely in the first couple weeks, but then guess what? You'll know order blocks, right? Or vice versa. It could be breakers, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to trade all this stuff live, but it's going to open your eyes to a lot more areas in price, so you can know, right? You might not like to trade order blocks, but when it's trading into an order block, you might know how to treat it, right? You might know how to view it. You might know how to tape read it, and it might give you an idea of why price is doing what it's doing, where it's heading, and all that stuff. It's going to give you a better overall condition in the market. Essence, I've seen someone who used to join us and is funded now, so you're right. I'm glad. Yes, there's a couple individuals that have kind of sat through these calls for weeks and are funded, and you know, that's what we're here for, right? I'm glad. And the other side of the ocean, Atlantic, the weekends at session are good for me. Okay. So yeah, you know, we'll continue to get feedback. We'll get some emails in. But if there's any other feedback that you guys might have right now, let me know. If it's something that might pops up down the road, shoot me an email, and we can start to figure it out. And odds are in that website too, there'll be a community kind of chat that's just kind of everlasting and ongoing. There will be no trade reviews, or I mean, there will be no trade ideas. I don't want people putting trade ideas, saying, hey, I'm looking at this. I don't want to get to that mindset. I know people like to have discords and there's a bunch of people in there and they give trade ideas. I just don't like it. You know, it's great that you feel as if you're getting to a point and you're seeing stuff that you know that could potentially play out and you want to share it. That's great, but there's a different way to do that, and I don't want it to be a trade ideas thing. It's just going to be a chat. It could be a slew of things. You know, you can post results, you can post psychology stuff, you can post your morning routines, you can post a bunch of different things that might help you trading, but the one thing that I want to stay away from is having it get all mugged up and foggy with a bunch of different people posting a bunch of different trade ideas, and the next thing you know, a new person comes in and all they know is to just go in and do those trade ideas. Uh, that's really the most that I have. I knew this call would be short because I think going into the next couple of weeks we're going to put a lot of stuff into these calls, and really this week we wanted to make sure that you guys knew where we were on DXY and dollar, or DXY and ES, following the midweek review. But really we wanted to open this up to you guys and at least get this on your radar. Is there anything else, Henry? Is there anything you want to add to the group?
No, I think you covered all ideas pretty well. I think we've got a lot of good stuff coming. Hopefully we can get a lot of this material together in the next couple weeks or so. We'll definitely be ready for the assignments, but just in terms of getting a website up and all that. But yeah, you know, it's a great opportunity to hold each other accountable and just to learn at every opportunity. I mean, when other people are bringing their wins and losses to the table, that's a learning opportunity that you can receive without going through it yourself. So whether, you know, no matter what you're sharing, you're providing value, and don't be afraid to come to the table, because everyone's here for the same reason.
And two things, Lewis, I'll get to yours before we leave too. We'll try to brand it, so we'll come up with a name for the community and all this stuff. We'll try to figure that stuff out. That's something that me and Henry got to kind of flip-flop back and forth and kind of figure that out. But we'll get a website going. We'll get a kind of just a name for the community going, and give you guys at least something to run with. And then hopefully back half of the year next year, who knows, we might, you know, make some apparel, have some live events, and see where it takes us. Maybe some giveaways, who knows. So Lewis did have something to share. He said, this is ICT chart from one of his lessons. This is where I have a hard time. Why does the market structure shift at 12 p.m. and not at 11:45? So this is the picture he shared. So he's talking about the changes to the state of delivery in here. And I'm assuming, I wonder, can I annotate this? Okay, so I'm assuming the question is, why is the change in the state of delivery not here, or why is it not this high? Am I correct? Or you're asking why is it not this high, and why is he aiming it down here? Is that correct? The high before. This high or this high? This high?
I think.
Yes.
I think referring to the market structure shift occurring at 12 rather than 11:45. Why is 11:45 not the market structure shift?
Oh, okay. So I think it is viewed as a market structure point that obviously shifts, but this is the more internal recent one, because if you think about it, price comes down, makes a low relative to this low, comes up, pulls up into an inefficiency, a SIBI, makes a low again, right? So we've got a low, a high, a low, a high, in an inefficiency, back down, makes another low, and then price takes out that high, right? So that's where you're kind of getting that breaker model. You've got the high, no, you've got the low, the high, wait, I'm looking at this wrong. You got a low, a high, we take out the low, and then we end up taking the high. This up closure becomes a breaker. And I think the reason why he's viewing this point is because price filled a premium array and then traded lower. right? That's why you got these three drives. You got a low, a high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, and then we take out and make a higher high. We take out that lower high. And that's why when price retraces back down into here, it doesn't take out this low, because this is viewed as a market structure shift. Am I getting that right, Henry?
Yeah, I mean, I'd just say it's important to note the time as well, right? So at 11:45, we still have time left to go into the lunch hour, and there's an opportunity to see price continue to trade lower. I don't know what's on the left side of the chart, so maybe we trade into sell side or something, but you see the change in state of delivery going into noon. As soon as we trade above the opening price of that down close candle, that's sort of the establishing that as the order block and changing the state of delivery to trade higher. And then you're going into lunch. So during that 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., that's where we're going to have a retracement on whoever has been profitable for the majority of the night. So if you look from 10 all the way into noon, who's been profitable on that trade? It's been anyone who's selling short, right? So now we're coming into the lunch hour, and that's where you want to look for your potential retracement to occur. So not that shift at 11:45, because it's just not timed.
Yeah, so I think that makes sense, because obviously you still have the same thing. You have the low, the high, you have the lower low, and then you kind of take out that high. I think, yeah, it's a time thing, right? It's the time distortion of it, because you still have this SIBI that it's pushing back into that's bigger, and it's still able to kind of get that time distortion and go lower. So I think more than anything, it's not a candle thing or a technical thing. It's a time thing.
Yeah, I think that is in that 11:50 macro range. Yeah, but that's important to note, right? The time is always the biggest factor in when things are occurring. It's time and then price, right? Because a PD array or a certain structure is meaningless without it occurring or delivering back to it at the time in which you're supposed to be trading it. So not every breaker is going to function as a breaker, right? Like I can't look at this, but if you look at 10:30 and you have a low, a high, a lower low, and that high is purged, right? Right there.
This low or this low?
The one to the left.
This one.
No, to the right. Left. That low. So that your breaker's there, right? Bullish breaker. Low, high.
Yeah, low, high, lower low.
Yep. And then trades above there. So you could see that candle around 10:30 as the bullish breaker. But does this let me?
It doesn't let you annotate.
Oh, okay. Here. Oops.
Oh, you're good there.
Yeah.
Good there.
Right? Low, high, lower, low. Here would be your bullish breaker, right? But we're paying attention to what time it is, right? So we're trading up into that 10 to 11, which is your London close. And a potential area we can see a reversal occur, right? So we're not looking at this as a PD rate to trade for higher prices, because it's the time and then the price. Yes, we have this model occur, but looking at the time and what we know is the draw on liquidity, which is down here after trading up to the high of balance for liquidity warrior, whatever this is, then we're looking for the sell side down here. So this model, while it is a breaker model, is not occurring at the time in which you want to see it. Just like right here as well. Here you have that, but we're not expecting this to function as the breaker because it's not time. We're waiting for noon, to have that change in the state of delivery right here, trading above this order block. Okay. And then now that we're in the lunch hour, from noon till 1, that's when we can run back on stocks.
And another thing that I'll add too is some of the tasks we might have throughout the weeks might be completely time related, which means we might not have, you might we might just say, try to create some form of trade in this time period, right? We might give a very specific set of time, and we'll have you guys go and try to figure it out in that time. Would I be wrong if I took a trade there to go long? Where exactly, Lewis?
You're talking about the 11:45.
11:45.
As a shift. Yeah. Oh, you're not wrong for it. It's just a learning opportunity, right? So when you go into the next trade, you'll see if we're in a sell program like this. So here we purged highs, right? And then here had a break under these lows. Here you have your 2022 model. So you're selling here and looking for the sell side down here. So this whole thing is a sell program. And now, in order to have the change in state of delivery from the sell program, we want to wait until a time that's key to do that. And so a good time to do that is going to be within the lunch hour. So 12 to 1. Now that we've traded down to an important P area, then you can wait for that time to see the model occur. Thank you for sharing that. See, that's like exactly the kind of thing that is great in this group and what we want to have from people bringing their trades and sharing it. Because if you didn't share that, then there's no opportunity to bring up this discussion and this learning opportunity, right?
So is it 11?
Is 11:45 really? Yeah. In this case.
In this case, it depends on where you're wanting to kind of where you're wanting to be in the market. If you are not in anything, or you're at a point where it's that if it's 11:30 to 12 o'clock and you haven't been in anything, anything's gonna be too early, right? You kind of have to know what times you're wanting to trade. So it's either going to be that AM, it could be any of the macros in the AM, and if you don't get anything by 11:30, then that 11:30 to 12 o'clock, or at least till like 11:50, you're going to want to wait in the into the lunch hour. If you like trading the lunch hour, sometimes the lunch hour has, just because I don't trade the lunch hour doesn't mean you can't trade the lunch hour. The lunch hour is just like anything else. It has a macro tied to it. So there's always a trade. There's always that possibility that there's a trade there. I don't trade the lunch hour just because I like to eat lunch. But what if that lunch hour isn't necessarily your lunch, or you like to trade, where that might be a time where you have the time? Then you can sit there and you can use that 11:50 to 12:10 macro and see if there's anything that's unfolding, and then play that macro into 1 o'clock.
This can even be your trade if you're looking at sell side to still be delivered going into the lunch hour, into noon. Like look where the low is made, right there going into noon. This is a SIBI, and we trade into the consequent encroachment of it right here. That can be your sell model.
And this is you take this SIBI and invert it right here. I can't annotate, but you can. I don't think I can. This one right here. And extend that out. Extend that all the way out till 12:30. Right? Like in this area, if you're trading that, you could have used an inverted SIBI, you could have used a breaker, you could have used an order block. There's multiple different things that you potentially could have used. But if you're not waiting until lunchtime, you can get chopped up, right?
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Dad, if you are planning on trading in and around the lunch hour, yes, 11:45 is at least 5 minutes too early. I would say, if anything, at least wait until about that 11:50 area, because you always have that 10 minutes prior and 10 minutes post the hourly close where that macro starts to open. So it's close, but I would say it's always going to be a little too early. And even, that's not to say that at 11:50 there's going to be a trade. At 11:50 that macro opens up, and that's where you need to just start to hone in on your focus and give it time, right? Doesn't mean you're going to be pressing that buy button right at 11:50. It's like, okay, at 11:50 you need to know what those next 20 candles are going to do on a 1 minute. Not know what they're going to do, but really understand them, right? At 11:50 you've got 21 minute candles until that 20-minute macro closes. And even though there's going to be trade opportunities following that, whether it's 12:15, 12:30, whatever the case is, it's the pattern itself is going to be in between that 11:50 and 12:10 potentially. And so you need to know that those 21-minute candles, or those 4 or 5-minute candles, you need to just understand those candles and be honed in on those to see if there's a potential trade that fits you. Yes, actually, Essence, I will. Essence, I was so sure you guys were going to announce a pay schedule, PTSD from every single free IC group I've been in the past year. LOL. Nope, we don't need your money. But we might in like the late with it. However big this grows, I'm not sure. If we ever do a pay schedule, what we'll end up probably doing, and it will not be this year, and it's nothing that me and Henry have even worked on. It would be a very small subscription fee, and all that would do would be cover costs of the community, whether it's storage on videos or it's upgrading certain things. But it wouldn't necessarily be anything that we would not necessarily. And our goal is to grow you guys to where if it is something that you guys, if we do end up offering some form of subscription down the road, one, we're not trying to make money off of it. It would be just to have the community pay for itself on any aspect that we might be using. If we start to utilize more tools, nicer equipment, nicer software, whatever the case is. But our hope is, before we even get into that, anybody that's been around and been through all of these calls, our goal is to put you in a position where it is easily affordable, no matter what the number is. But that's not something that we've really even looked into yet. We are happy to do this stuff free of cost. I'm writing down that email really quick. 1 second.
Yeah, speaking of the macros, that's a great study for everyone to do as well. Is just go into your charts, go on yes, and put on your, I think there's a good indicator. Let me see which one is. Yeah, there's one that.
You can share.
Look at indicators. And there's this one here, ICT macros. And put that on. And just go through your charts and look at all of these macros. And mostly 20-minute windows, with the exception of 110 to 140 and 315 to 345. But look at these and just look for patterns within them where the highs and lows are coming currently at the beginning and the ends of the macros typically. Right? So as we enter these time windows, you can look for a potential model occurring there, right as we enter the highs and the lows of them. that's potentially where we're trading in something. Like when we go to let's get rid of this. Just go through fire, for example. Here's your 850 to 910. Right? Here we have the low, high, lower, low. 83 right there. Here's your breaker. Right here at the beginning of the macro. We're utilizing that breaker. Again, right here. And then trading up in the high. Here, we're trading behind it here. I'd imagine if we look back into here, we can probably see. So, we're using that window trading up into our time frame efficiency. We trade off of there. Here's your 2022 model. Buy side purge there. Taking market structure. There's your short. Target sell side. And look where the low is made, right in these last few minutes of the macro. Right, so you can be looking for sell side, but potentially as we come into the end of the macro, you're looking to exit majority of position. Right, there's also a breaker here as well if you want to trade that. And the next one.
You know me and my breakers. I had to give them some justice right there too.
Yeah. Yep, good to know. And here, as we come into 1050 to 1110, at this point, we've traded down into our ending close, right, between 10 and 11. So we're having a reversal off of there. This was your 932 display. Going up, shifting that lower, targeting the sell side. Then London close, we have that reversal. So look back to higher. We have about highs here, continuing to move higher, and then consolidating. And here, like the beginning of the macro, we're going to 2 minute. So 3 minute part. There's your BISI. And what's happening right here at the beginning of this macro, sell side is being run out.
That's a great example of why time is key. Because if you would have gotten prior in, then let's say you're in on that sell side liquidity low, and that macro hits, it's coming right back to where you entered, right? All you had to do is wait another 10 more minutes.
Yeah, so you can look to, this is why Michael's talking so much about, you know, the exact times that things are going to occur. Because you could focus your trading to just inside these 20 minutes and watch nothing else. You're using all of this for context, like to understand what's occurring here. Sell side's already encouraged. This Judas swing, we're into the longer close now. We're trading by higher. We're trading above premium noise. We're trading above the short-term high. Now we're consolidating, so we have expansion, accumulation, and then looking for continued expansion after that. Now, as we enter the macro, we have this BISI, which has not been filled yet. We're tapping into sell side here, so that's a good sort of freak trade that we can take here. Just to trade up into this final inefficiency here. And you can hold this trade for buy side, right? So maybe you're taking your first partial at 5 handles or so, looking for this inefficiency, and then look for buy side. You can move your stop loss up to break even here, and then just let the trade run out. Here, as we get into 11:50 to 12:10, we have the same idea, right? So sell side's been run right here, and shift again, and making structure out here, and then return back into this. We're coming back, not quite into equilibrium right there, but there's that little missy, maybe you can think right there. Again, if you were to find anything, and then we trade out as we enter the lunch hour. Here. We finish taking out the buy side. And then now, as we get into the end of the day, we have that lunchtime reversal because buy side has already been traded here at this point. So now, the side's closed again here, shifting market structure, and you're ready. And then here. And come to that again right at the start. So we're selling here, stop, we're back here, we're back here, if you're over that reshape stop. That's your breaker model again.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Yeah. That's another breakers. You want to play that, you take that one, and then look for the end of the macro. You go to some below. Until you're looking for sell side under this low, and looking to here as well. So now we've created the lunch high, we can look for the lunch lows as our sell side. We're looking for that 12 to 1. That's the low that was established right here. And that's what's attacked. Right there.
Henry, will you show them someone's or Lewis is saying that the ICT macros by Hitman is not coming up on his trading view.
Okay.
Make sure it's all maybe it's all try Hitman in all caps.
I think if you just do a search for ICT macro, oh no, it isn't coming up. Can I share a link to it? Is that what I'm doing? Yeah, let me check something.
I think I might know a way to do it, or a way to share it. If you exit out, go to the top left of your trading view. Yeah, drop those down. If you go to the 3 dots, if you copy it, go to yeah. So like if you did the 3 dots, go down, click copy. Down one more. Yeah, click copy. Paste it in the chat. I don't know if that'll work or not. Might be able to paste it in the chat.
Oh no, it doesn't. Just, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was changed to
I would look at the other one. So since all the macros are the same, you should be able to you can go in and filter them. Like just try a different one that's open. That's on a community script.
I'll just post here. Here are all the times. So at the very least, you can just mark these out on the charts. And
yeah, and what you can do is, yeah, you can go into any of those. You can go into any of those macro indicators, and usually when you go into the settings of them, you can actually alter them for the times. and you can just put in your own times for them. All they are is they're super simple implicator. They're just taking those macros and they're just highlighting them with color. And you can do that on almost anyone, so it really doesn't matter which one you have.
Yeah, or you can just, mark them out on your own. You don't need to highlight it here.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So yeah, you can just look to trade within these windows and do a study on going back and seeing when the highs and lows are likely to occur. A lot of times you see it occurring toward the beginning and the end of the macro. Of course, you have to pay attention to the context too, right? Like in this case, we're trading up into another inefficiency here. So we're not going to get the high at the end. We can we trade back down to the low. But you can see a lot of times how an entry is provided toward the beginning or at some point within these time windows. Yeah, take a look at that and see what you can find for yourself. Maybe you can limit your trading to just within these specific times.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Here's one more as we get into the close of the day as well. Now, sell side confirmed, we still have time left to deliver into the low of the weekly BISI. Here we're using the consequent approachment, like really tap it, trade back below, using the consequent approachment here. Also, on the 15-minute chart, it's an immediate rebalance. So here we trade low, this candle trades, and this candle taps right back into just a little bit above using the consequent approachment split, but taps back into the lowest candle. And that's exactly when this high is forming, right? The consequent approachment is leading to imbalance. Splits back lower. This is a 20.2 again. My side purge. Sell side. Unit premium. That's your short. Back down into the low. And then utilized again in the final macro. Here, trading down into the low. Hopefully,
You also could use this as an order block. Hold on, stay right there. You could also use this as an order block.
yeah, that's fine.
But does anyone have any other questions? Anything anything else? Like I said, if you guys go and just type in ICT macros, you guys can also just go and pick any macros, and if you guys screenshot those times that Henry posted, you can edit those in the settings of the indicator and just make them. It doesn't matter the actual type of indicator. You just got to go into the settings and edit the times for the macros. Is there anything else that we might have missed, or anything you guys want to go over before we let you go? We are coming up on the 2-hour mark. Like I said, if you guys got any friends that might want to join or they think that they could take advantage of it, we are going to be trying to put a lot more work and effort into the community in the coming weeks. You guys will be getting those midweek reviews on Wednesdays and or Thursdays. So that'll be about it. Same thing as instead of going over a specific ICT lesson like we used to, what we'll do is basically just be going over whatever that is in the task, which is usually an ICT form of something. So we'll be covering that as our kind of like subject of the day, whether it has to do with macros, percentages, drawdown, breakers, order blocks, all that stuff. It'll be kind of tied to the task. We'll always do our pre-post week analysis as well. And we'll always have time towards the end for anyone to give feedback. But other than that, that's about it for me. Henry, do you have anything else?
That's it. I'm excited for what's to come. I think this is going to be good for everybody. Awesome.
Cool. You never know, guys. There's not actually. I am for certain that there will probably be weeks that you guys probably have better results than myself or Henry. Like we're not perfect either, and there'll be weeks where I'll have losses or whatever the case is, right? Transparency is key, and I think the more transparent we can keep it on our end. We expect the same on your end, and I think that it helps everyone across the board. You know, if you guys can see me and Henry step up here and show you guys our losses, and hey, we didn't get anything out of it, right? We misjudged it, whatever the case is. That'll help you guys show that yes, we are in fact human too, and we make mistakes. And sometimes it's nothing you do on the charts; it's just the fact that you bleed the color red, and you are human, and that's just the way it goes, and it will always be that way. It's just how you control yourself and you make the right decisions following. Other than that, that's about it for me, guys. Nothing really more than that. The only things that are certain in life are the past and the present. And if you're tired of your past, change your present. And the coldest blankets lead, or the warmest blankets lead to the coldest futures. There you go. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys on. You'll hear from us on Wednesday, but I will see you guys going into next week. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man, take it.